Hello, everyone. We are live. We are going live Wednesday because tomorrow night is Thanksgiving and my kids are coming late tomorrow night. So I pushed it up to Wednesday. I hope you got the email or the newsletter that said I was going to go Wednesday live instead of tomorrow night. So I got something popped up on my screen here. I'm just going to get rid of that. So welcome, welcome. Happy Thanksgiving. I know most of you are probably getting prepared for the big day tomorrow. Um, yeah, I did a few things today. I made a couple pies that I hope nobody eats because I forgot to put some ingredients in after it was baked. But that's been my kind of day. So we'll see how I do tonight. So thank you everybody for tuning in. Tonight we are going to be looking at the fine tip glue pen that Stampin' Up sells. I'm going to show you the ins and outs of using this glue pen. There's lots of techniques that you can do with this glue, as well as show you some tricks to keeping your glue flowing and to break up those clumps in the tip if you have a clogged glue pen. I'm going to give you some ideas, some suggestions and things that you can try, as well as tips and tricks around. Don't throw it away because I'm going to show you different ways that you can use it. So let's change the camera and get started. All right. There we go. All right, so this is the glue I am talking about. I have a new one so you can see exactly how it's going to come. It is the fine tip glue pen. And then I have a couple that we're going to be using tonight. And these, I want to say, are at least 5 years old, maybe 6 years old, and they are still working just fine. So like I said, if you have one that's clogged up and you want to throw it away, do not throw it away because I'm going to show you how to revive it. So the first thing when you get a brand new one is you're going to want to unscrew the black part and you will find that it is sealed. So if you just took off the lid and started to try to glue and wondered why it wasn't coming out, that little bugger there was probably the reason why it was not coming out. So then we're going to just screw that right back on. And then when you go to glue, you want to unscrew this top part right here. And then the biggest tip is you see that little wire and then you see the little hole it has to go in. That's a little hard on my eyes. So I used my finger to guide that because you want that wire to go back down inside that hole. Oh, it's harder to do on camera, but you see it went down inside that hole. That's going to keep that glue down inside and not in that wire. But I do have some tips for you on that. So the first card I'm going to show you tonight is this one right here. And this has 3 different techniques on it using the fine tip glue pen. So we're going to start out with the obvious, which it was intended to. Gluing those intricate dies, like maybe you have some word dies or leaves like this that have these intricate. So we're going to use our fine tip glue pen to glue that intricate leaf. Let's see if my glue is working. To that bigger one. And you can just do little dots of glue. I think I'm going to need my glasses. Much better. And then you can draw, because it draws very fine. You can just do spots or draw, trace it, trace.
Is that something new?
Nope. Like I said, I think mine are about 5 years. This one is either 5 or 6 years old. So, and it's still running fine.
I could have used one of those.
Well, you know where my room is. You know all the stuff I got. So I'm going to go with that. Now, you don't want to leave this exposed for too long. So if you're done gluing, tap it a few times, and that's going to push that glue back down inside the bottle, and then try to cap that as quick as you can. I'm going to try to do it again, and then probably for the rest of the night, because I'm going to be uncapping it quite a bit, I'll leave it uncapped. Nope, I'll get it.
By 9 o'clock.
But, yep. There we go. It is important to get that wire in there. So we're gonna take this. I just want to show you the tricks. So tap it before you put the cover on and you should be good. So I have this glued now in place. Love it. So there's that. So then what's next on this card different? These natural elements right here. You could color them with the blends, with the markers, and then put the clear over the top. Or what I did was I had a bottle that was pretty empty. It's down here at the bottom. I put a few drops of the Real Red re-anchor in it. So I think I put like 10 drops of the red re-anchor. So now I have red glue all the time. So once you put that ink refill in there, that's the color it's going to stay. So then you can just paint your, it's shiny, it gives it dimension because it is raised when it is dry. When you use this glue, the techniques that I'm showing you, you're going to have to let your stuff set aside to dry. It does need some drying time. It's not like the green Tombow that dries pretty fast. This does take a bit. So again, I'm going to pounce that. I'm going to grab some paper towel, make sure that my tip is clean. All right, so I'm going to set that aside. So that's technique number 2. I didn't get my point there, but that's okay. The other technique is you're on here. Do you see these dots? They look like gems. It's the glue. So you're going to want to get your silicone mat and you're just going to do your little drops. So you can do big drops, you can do tiny drops. But isn't that cool? You let them dry, and we're going to use these because these are dry, and you just peel them right off. So I'll show you how to use those. Clean off my tip. Let's see how quick I can get this down in there this time. There we go. All right, so this one, when I first opened it up, or not opened it, but it's been, like I said, 5 years. When I took it out, it would not flow. There was nothing flowing. I'm going to take this off again. There was nothing coming out. So what I did was I took my heat gun and I heated this up and I just kind of rotated it around as the heat was going on it. And all of a sudden the ink started bubbling out of the top. And then I opened it up all the way and looked down in there and I could see the clog. So then I just took a paper clip and I opened it up and went in there and got all the dried gunk of glue out, and she's working beautiful again. So if it is clogged, heat it up. Try not to melt your tip, but you'll see the glue start bubbling out the top. And then you're probably pretty good. Open it up, see if you can get the clog out of it that's been in it. As I say that now, mine's clogged. No, it's good. But that wire will push that clog down in there if it is a clog. All right, so back to my cards. Oops, that one was wet. I'm gonna put that there. That's why I have a dry one sitting here, and I have another leaf. All right. So our card base on this one is basic white, and it is the thick, and it's 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. All right. Now the designer series paper that I'm using is the Boughs of Holly, and the stamp set that I'm using is the Leaves of Holly. So it's part of that Boughs of Holly suite. So I'm just going to attach this gorgeous poinsettia red to my white card base. And then I have it from the same pack is this print right here. But I want the stripe side. And we're going to stick that down like so. Then I'll take my leaves and I'm just going to, let's see, attach. That looks pretty good. This one's going to go over here. And this is going to go on top. Now you can use your fine tip glue to attach your wood element, but I actually think that the glue dots do a better job of holding this wood element. So I'm going to put that there. I've already got my bow tied. So we're going to attach that with the glue dot. And that's going to go like that. Then I already stamped from the stamp set, Two Friends, Near and Far. Just stamped it on a strip of white, cut it to the size I wanted. And I'm going to stick that right there. Now we're going to take our little pebbles that we made with my glue. And actually, I didn't add glue to the back side. So you'll have to see. Some of mine I did because they fell off, but some of them I didn't. So I'm not really sure. We'll see if they stay on, but so far they've been doing really well. See, now that one, now that I say it, it won't stay. They're coming up. So I might have to use a little dot of that fine tip glue for those, but you get the idea. There we go. Isn't that pretty? Love that. What a great way to use that glue. Got 3 techniques on there using it. Now the next card that I'm going to, I call this a faux stained glass because it's so shiny and pretty and it looks like stained glass because I used that die, which is the designer tags die. So I die cut the tag and then I die cut the flower out of the center of it. Now I wanted it to have like holes or, you know, depth to put in the glue so it would look more like stained glass. So what I did was first I have one that's the tag, then I did the tag with the die cut in out of it, but I've also got adhesive sheet on the back side. So I'm going to take that off. And then we're going to match that up. Like so. Then what you're going to do is I'm going to take that red that I had mixed and I'm going to fill in for the roses. But the green, I didn't want to mix another bottle with green. So what you can do, if you don't want to mix re-anchor inside your glue bottles, you can take your mat, take your glue. So this is a great technique if you cannot get your clog out and it's not working for you, you can't unglue it, can't get glue out the tip. This is another way you can use your glue without throwing it away. So I got my dot of glue and then I have the Pear Pizzazz re-anchor. So I'm going to just job a dot of that re-anchor. Now you got 2 options. If this is clogged, even if mine isn't clogged, but you can still do it. If this is clogged, use that as your paintbrush. Swirl that up. Or if you don't want to do that, use a paintbrush. I have a tiny paintbrush, or I can use the tip. You want to try to avoid bubbles. And then what you're going to do is you're just going to, as I say, avoid bubbles, and there's a big bubble in there. When it dries, you can pop that bubble. But you're going to just color that all in. using that nice fine tip. It's like a little paintbrush. So you can color that all in. With this one, you can do it with the red direct. Oh, now it's coming unscrewed. So you can fill in right with your red. So if you knew you were going to be making a lot of them, you might want to add the re-inker right to your glue bottle. If you have a couple different glue bottles, you might want to, you know, dump some, fill one up more, and just so you don't have a whole bunch of red or a whole bunch of green, or like buy 52 of them and then color them all with all our 52 colors, and you got one for every color. So that's an option too. You can purchase them from my store. So if you would like that info, let Bill know. But that's a quick and easy way to use your pen to color that all in. And then when you're done with it, just take it, wipe it right off. That easy. So I've already went ahead and got one done. This ink here was the garden green. This one here, no, this one was Granny, I think, and this one was garden green. And look how dark, it almost looks like evening evergreen. So that's why I went with Pear Pizzazz to try that out. I don't know, lots of different greens. I like them all. So I'm going to set that aside. So this one is dry. Our card base again is the basic white. It's 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. Then I used the happy birthday from the Go-To Greetings. I love this script. I stamped it on the bottom of this piece of white, and then I ran it through my embossing folder. I think it's quarter foil. See that? Beautiful. For the front. So now I'm going to just attach that. I'm risking it by using my adhesive, because usually when it is embossed like that and you use your adhesive, sometimes it will tear. All right, and now I have my tag, which I will pop up. And I did trim off the bottom. I cut that bottom little loop. Remember, this was a tag on top and bottom. So I just, in my trimmer, just trimmed off that bottom edge. All right, so let me get my tag. I like to make it so it's kind of even all the way around. But like I said, this is one of those techniques, it does need that drying time. So these aren't really quick cards, but I already have my bow tied. Put that on with a glue dot. Then I'm going to use my pen here, my glue pen. Where did my paper towel go? And since the other ones didn't hold, I'm going to just put little dots where I want my little red homemade jobbies here. And all it needs is just a little dot. A little dab will do ya. There you go. That's what I call the faux, I'm going to set that there. That's what I call the faux stained glass. Now you might want to say, well, why didn't you try that on vellum? Because if you stamp and emboss on vellum, you color from the behind and it looks like stained glass. I'm going to just put this together there. See, it went faster. So I tried it. I did it on vellum, and I used my pre-mixed red here. I embossed it and then I went with the red. It just looked a little too messy for me. This looked cleaner, and I think it's because of the wells from the dye. The other side looks good. So if you want to do the stained glass technique with vellum, color it from the back side. And then when you flip it over, you're not going to see all the mist. I don't know. That just looked messy to me. This looked cleaner. So it is doable. You can do it. So there. The next card is a bit of a resist technique. So I used the same tag as I did for the white one. I die cut it out of crumb cake. Now we're going to take a deer, and this stamp set is the Peaceful Deers. And I'm going to use the Early Espresso ink. And I'm going to stamp my deer and his antlers. I'm going to probably get my head in the view here a little bit, like so. Then what we're going to do is you're going to take that fine tip glue. Now you can, again, put it on your silicone mat, put a glob of it, take a paintbrush if you like, and you're going to really paint that deer, the whole deer. Or you can use your tip and do it that way. It has a finer tip and his legs are skinny. But what you're going to do is you're going to paint over your entire deer. So you're going to fill in the entire image of the deer. And then you're going to set that aside to dry. And then here is the deer dried. So now, let's get this out of the way. So now what we're going to do, he's dry. We're going to take the tree that's from the stamp set and the Evening Evergreen ink, and we're going to ink up that tree. And stamp right over the top. And we'll come over here and stamp another one. And then we'll come over here and stamp another one. All right, and you're like, oh, he looks a mess. That's okay. You're going to take a paper towel and you're going to remove that ink from the deer.
Is that glue you're using?
That is glue. It is the fine tip glue. So you're just going to rub out, and it's going to resist. Wherever you put that glue, your ink will resist. Isn't that cool? So now I played around a little bit. This was like the first one I did, and he really pops out because I did that background. This one, I sponged a little green across the bottom and a little blue across the top, but I kind of went with this one on my card. My card base is the crumb cake. And this is 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. All right. I like that plaid background. So what I did was I created a plaid background using the artistic, what are these called? The artistic mixed decorative dyes. So I put it on a piece of crumb cake, and I rubbed over the top with my blending brush and Rio Red, and then I put another one over the top. And I went over it with my blending brush and Merlot, Mary Merlot. And that's how I got that plaid right there. So it needs to be trimmed down though. I just noticed that it was bigger than what I wanted. So 4 by 5 1/4. So that piece that I cut off, I could put inside the card. But we're going to attach that. All right, and then we're going to put this, we're going to pop that up with some dimensionals. Now, if you have a question about a specific product, like the fine tip glue pen, or the blends, or the stencils, let me hear your question. I'll see what I can put together. If I use it in a live class, I will send you a package of jewels in the mail. So I'll be asking you for your snail mail address. And then I have just a bow tied with the natural twine. That's going to go right here at the top. Trim that up a little bit. And then at the bottom, I have Merry Christmas that I die cut with the Stylish Shapes dies. So we're going to put that on there. Put that across like so. Now, oops, where's my, here they are. I can use my red dots again, or we can use these festive pearls, and I like to put a little red one right there on his nose because he is Rudolph. As Soph would say, duh, Grandma. So there you have it, the embossed resist with, you really didn't emboss it, it's just the glue. The glue dried and it acts like it was embossed. So that is number 3. Technique number 4 is a fun one, and this is, my sample I made was for Sophia, and the one I'm going to do tonight that's dry is for Giselle, and they just have a new baby brother named Jackson, so I'm going to make this one for Jackson. So you can draw with your glue and it's going to resist the ink. So if you want to just draw different shapes, you can draw names. It's fine tip, so it's easy to draw and write. So I'm doing Jackson. You can go back over it if you want it thicker. It's easier to make it thicker than thinner. Oh, you can kind of see that. So that's for Jackson. I'll finish his card later. But I will show you Gigi's or Giselle's, how we're going to finish that one off. All right, so we'll put Jackson's aside to dry. This is Giselle's. I think you can kind of see that. We're going to take the Daffodil Delight and the blending brush, and I'm just going to go right over the top of that glued part. Just like the deer, we're going to do the resist. So if you wanted to make Christmas cards, you could write Merry Christmas. If you want New Year's Eve, you could write Happy New Year. I mean, there's lots that you can do. If you're having a baby shower and you know what the baby's name is going to be, you could make the invitations. So I'm going to just kind of quickly go through this. The girls love their purples, and I thought if I didn't make them the same, we would be in trouble.
Is that just Stampin' Up glue?
It is. It is Stampin' Up glue. It is called the Fine Tip Glue. If you want, here is, like, where's that bag? Right here. I thought the number was on that. I'll have to look it up. So now this is the Highland Heather, yes. And I'm kind of just going around that. And then I'm going to take the Night of Navy. And I'm just going to kind of go around the outside edges. I kind of start off on my paper so that I don't get big blobs of color on my cardstock.
What is that thing you rub with? Is that a sponge?
It's called a blending brush. It's kind of like maybe a makeup type brush. All right, then you're just going to take your paper towel and you're going to rub over your words again, just like we did on the deer. And it's just going to take off any of that ink that was on the writing. I mean, you could do hearts and stars. You could draw whatever you want. I think the girls would get a kick out of that. I don't know how well they would do with the glue, though. The stamp set that I'm using for this card is called the Christmas Scotty. It has the sentiment in there, you are always loved. So I'm going to attach that. I think I need to cut down my card, front here. All right, let's see. This purple is 3 7/8, so that means this is 3 3/4 by 5. So we'll go by 5. And that should work on that gorgeous grape. Yep. So we're going to attach that. All right, the card base is going to be that Highland Heather. That's 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. We're going to attach that. Like so. We're going to pop this up. Right up here. Then I took that little dog from the stamp set. He's our Christmas Scotty, but he's not going to be Christmas. I stamped him in crumb cake on white because they have a little yellow lab. I know he's not a lab, but they'll appreciate the doggy on their card. And then the punch, it has a coordinating punch. The punch will punch out the dog and the little bow. And then I have these gorgeous glassy dots. You know, the girls in their purple, they're going to love it. We're going to put those on. So there, we'll put one over here. And maybe I'll put one over here. So there you go. You can draw with your glue. Isn't that cute? And then I'll do one for Jack's. I'll do his in more blues. Love it. Cute. I'm going to get rid of this paper so it's not distracting. Okay, so the next one is pretty obvious. I'm going to use the Vintage Christmas stamp set that has these jars and the jar punch. So I stamped the jar in balmy blue on white and then just painted it filled it all in as far as up the bottle as I wanted it to go. So it looks like glass or it looks like water. And then let that dry. And I'm going to punch this one out right here. So if I wanted to use this one, I would have to hand cut that one out. All right. So it just gives it that look and appearance kind of a glass bottle. So my card base is the Early Espresso, 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. Then I have a piece of that gorgeous gingham. It's from the Cottage Gingham Designer Series paper. I'm going to attach that. I took another piece of the Early Espresso and I embossed that with the musical notes. I think it's the Merry Melody embossing folder. I am going to use my liquid glue. Attach that. And then we'll stick that to the card front. Center that like that. And then I have my bottle, which I'm going to pop up with dimensionals. We're going to stick that down the center. I have the Making Spirits Bright from the stamp set, and I die cut it out using the Stitched Shapes dies. And we're going to put a dimensional on that. And then I'm going to put some adhesive right here at the top. I think I want to move that just a hair. Put that like that. We're going to take this white twine that I've tied in triple bows here, and we're going to put that on our tag up here. And then I stamped the flowers. That's Real Red, Early Espresso, and Shaded Spruce, and then I hand cut that out, and we're going to pop those up. And then at the bottom here, I'm just going to put some adhesive. And we'll put, we want to make sure that we can see our words. Get my things, maybe I've got a little bit too high. Let's see. There we go. Pull that down just a hair, just like that. Now we're going to take those same red festive pearls, and I'm going to put one in each one of those flower centers. If you wanted to, you could put one on the jar, you could put one on your tag. Just like that. So that's using the glue to make it look like glass. How cool is that? The final card is kind of a cool different technique, but I am going to use a retired product on it that Stampin' Up! Doesn't carry anymore, but you might have it in your stash. I'm going to be using the Piece to You stamp set. We are going to be using the Stamparatus, and I'll show you what I did. So I die cut this piece using the stitched rectangles. All right, my magnets here are pulling my paper. So I placed my paper on there. Ink up your stamp. I did the image and the sentiment at the same time, inked it again. I did it back and forth a few times because I wanted a nice deep color. So this is what the finished, and I used Night of Navy ink. So then what I did was I took the glue pen and I ran it across, like, so it's like a snowbank here on my image. Whoops. Follow my image. And then I went in, I don't know if I did every dot, but I just went, there's dots of snow on there. So I did that. And then I took the Dazzling Diamonds. This is the retired product that we don't sell anymore. It is just gorgeous. But Bill came down and said there's glitter everywhere. It does go everywhere. So once I put my glue on there, then I brought in my Dazzling Diamonds and glued. Okay, so I set that aside to dry. But what else I did was I took that silicone mat and the glue, and I made icicles. So you're just gonna draw as far out as you would like, and I found the thicker it is, actually the better. And then just kind of like drips. So like this. You can make them short, you can make them long, however you want to do it. Fill that all in with your icicles. And then I put my, you don't have to, if you don't have the Dazzling Diamonds or glitter that you would want to use, you don't have to put glitter on. You can let it dry just like that. But I did do glitter on mine. Whoops. And that one got a little big. But once it dries, it'll pull right off. And you have those snow or icicle drops. All right, so now we can assemble our card. So the card base is the thick basic white. This is 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. And I wanted it to look like it was a window. So I used the dies, the stitch rectangle dies, and I made like a window. And then I used our foam adhesive strips because I wanted it to be level all the way around. If you just did dimensionals here and there, you would get some spots that would kind of dip in. This just kind of keeps it nice and straight. This is like what you would do if you were making a shaker card. You would put those. Oh, let's see, I got a little wider than I needed. Say the hardest part is getting it on straight. I didn't have this much
At least you
trouble.
can feel it back up.
Yeah. So now here is my finished dried with the glue and the dots, and I take my little brush here, it's just an old makeup brush, to wipe off the excess. So then I'm going to use liquid glue, so it just gives me a little bit of wiggle room for moving it around. I want it down inside the frame. I don't want it the same level as the frame. So I just want it down in here, and then I can move it into place like so. Isn't that cool? Now I can take this icicles and put it across so it looks like a window with icicles. So I'm going to take my liquid glue and I'm going to just come right across my cardstock there, and then we'll put those icicles. And you can use your scissors if you wanted to, if you did it too long, you wanted to trim it down, there's something that you didn't like. But that is the last card using the liquid glue to make your icicles. as well as your snow and your sparkle. Love it, love it, love it. So those are your 6 cards for tonight using the fine tip glue pen. Now again, like I said, if it's clogged, use your heat tool to unclog it. Open it up, try to dig out your clog. If that doesn't work, then you can go ahead and put a drop on your silicone mat and use it with the tip here. Make sure that you bounce it on the table to get that glue down inside, and make sure that you put that wire down inside the hole. Those are your tips, and it will keep running for years. Like I said, this one and this one I made red, I've had for 5 years at least, maybe 6. So it will last you a long time if you use those tips I told you about. So that is it for tonight. I hope that you learned a tip or 2 using that fine tip glue pen. You can write with it, you can emboss resist with it, you can stain glass it, and then you can attach those thin dies. You can make your berries shimmer and shine, and you can make your own little colored dots with re-inker and the glue. So let me grab my catalog. Where is it? Here it is. And I'll tell you what the number is for that fine tip glue pen.
I think Holly put it in there.
Oh, did she? Good. Thank you, Holly.
It was 138309 fine tip glue pen.
Well, thank you for being my assistant, Holly. I appreciate that. It is on page 127, 138309. It is $7. So if you want to get 52 of them and make them every color, then you need the re-inkers as well, and you can make every bottle a color. That is it for tonight. Again, if you have any questions about product, if there's a certain product you'd like to see done up, if there is techniques that you'd like to see, certain ones, hit me up, email me. I'll do what I can to get a video up for you, and if I use your question, I will send you a package of jewels in the mail. So I'll be asking for your snail mail address. That is it for tonight. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Have a great day. Stay safe. We'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.